many designers, teams being called back to work full time in an office versus remote or hybrid that, yes, bring people back together, but for what is, I think, a good question in context of what you're talking about. Interesting things can happen in the office, but where are the people that you're designing for? What are they doing? In what context? Where do we have that opportunity? When or how do we have that opportunity to actually observe, immerse, interview them in their real life context? These days is very rare. And yes, we have access to their data. That's is of course it's out of context because it's data that's been captured. We can simulate, but I'm so curious. How do you decide? So how do you decide? Maybe this is not a fair question because now I'm limiting it. I don't want to limit it to one, but how do you decide which tool to use for different research insights?
Yeah. That is a very so I think a lot of the work that we've done, Ren, we've often been constrained by budgets, right? And so we we what's the word I want to use here? We subjugate ourselves to the budget. We cannot do this because of the budget. And so a lot of times, as designers, I remember when we had massive budgets, $1 million budgets, and then it became very dwindly to like we have no budget. So we started thinking about, well, we could do a heuristic evaluation. We started providing, you know, plug the hole solutions that are best left sometimes unplugged, just let it break. And so I think we need to figure out a way that we get back to people's context. There's been a massive loss, I think, generationally in the design space where we are disconnected from the people for whom we design solutions. And we've moved into sort of ivory tower situation. So the tools that we use really should be less guided by the budgets and more by realism, by context, right? So I'll give you one example. I
Hmm.
was recently, let me not date it exactly, so I, target the company, but I worked on a project once where the company was talking about, well, we want people to bank with us, but we're not traditionally known as a bank. How do we actually flip that? And so a lot of the work that we did was really trying to understand the essence of what it is when people say, I'm going to my bank, right? And
Hmm.
what surfaced out of that was the idea that people had a mental model of what it means to be a bank and where they kept their money. And there was a need to have a physical space to go and see, even though they didn't go to the bank all the time, they needed to know this is my bank, that's where my money is. And so there was a lot of work done in that. And so I said, well, is there a way that we can actually talk to people? And they said, well, what we could do is just send you the data that we have from the call center or whatever. And while that is good data, there is something to be said for actually sitting with the potential customers of that potential bank they're trying to design, as opposed to looking at the data from just the call center. Now, it is a proxy good piece of data because we get to hear people's issues with the current structure. But a
Hmm.
lot of times we get sent Excel spreadsheets, we get sent just data. We don't know what to do with it. So, yeah, I think I will rest it at that. We need to have we figure out as designers proximity to user and the user's context. And in
Hmm.
many opportunities, we do not have that because we're unable to have the budget to go do that. So the
Hmm.
proxy in that case is, call center data. So really for me, the guidepost is how close is that data to the real and true context, the people for whom we're designing.
Yeah. Thanks for watching Design with Ren, where we explore what it means to create with care, context, and intention. If this sparks something for you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's designing for change. Want more? New episodes drop regularly, and you'll find resources, tools, and behind the scenes thinking right here on the channel. Keep designing with purpose, and I'll see you in the next one.